Hey, I'm Nick Boris. I am the owner of Defined Life, a company dedicated to helping people reach their ideal selves. This is my first ever recording like this. I am not going to be good. Maybe I will be. I have no idea. But we're going to see how this goes. And this particular episode is going to be about myself, where I came from, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if you have no interest in that, stop now, maybe go to the next one, and we'll go into a specific topic there. This is kind of the down and dirty of the stuff I think about on a day-to-day basis. It's not pretty. I'm not that pretty. I have imperfections, and we're dealing them with. I'm dealing with them the same way that you are. So I hope you enjoy what we're doing here. I hope you enjoy this podcast. And if you have feedback, please let me know. But join us on this ride, and I think it's going to be worthwhile. I really do. What we do at Define Life, so how we started off, I started with look, I'll tell you from the very beginning. I've had a computer store, and then which transitioned to an IT business over the past 15 years, right? So now we do business, we do B2B work with other companies. But so I was funny because I was looking around thinking about what the heck am I going to talk about here, right? And I have this photo of me in our old IT store, me, out of shape me, with all my computers and computer parts and all the things we used to do in our little, 900 square foot store. I saw it sitting over there in the corner in the closet. The closet door's open, and I'm like, wow. That's a long time ago. I have been through a lot since that. Honestly, to be flat out and brief, I've been through, the shutting down of that store, transitioning to more of a B2B market. We, have had a lot of employees through then, good ones and bad ones. We started doing more Facebook marketing and advertising online and website design. And through that, I'd worked really, really hard on, my business, really, like trying to grow in the business market. You compete with other people in the city, and really just trying to get ahead. And what I found was that I was spinning my wheels very often. I was not making progress, the progress that I wanted. I was working really long hours. I'd leave the house at 7:30, maybe earlier, get into the office, and work all day long, whether I was meeting with clients at clients' locations or solving problems in the office or working on projects. And I wouldn't get home. I'd walk in the door at 6 o'clock, maybe sometimes later. And I really, after having kids, I didn't have time for them. I was exhausted. I had no mental space to deal with family. And it caused a gigantic strain. We never had really enough extra money to do the real things we wanted. We bought things we didn't want, or shouldn't have purchased. And we didn't do things like family things, like go on vacations for a long time. And I kept saying to my wife, we'll get there, after I do this, after I do this. And we just never got there, right? It was just always seemed like it got further away rather than closer. And we lived a comfortable life, but it just was more and more work. And what I found, looking back on it now, we were flailing. We went way too wide with our product offerings. And mainly it was because I wasn't really satisfied with what I was doing. We had a couple of customers that we had toxic relationships with that come from, how I make relationships, how I build relationships in my life, learn from, childhood experiences, being bullied, being depressed, being like all the stuff that I went through as a child that eventually we'll talk about in the future. All of that impacted how I developed as an adult, and I really created a lot of toxic relationships where, one other business owner put it into focus for me a couple of years ago. I was doing more and more for customers that kept asking for more and more, but never paid for it. So, we had a defined contract where, we did this amount of work for this amount of money. And if you're a business owner, you probably can relate to this. Like, somebody always wants more. And that inability to set boundaries caused me to keep doing more. And then I would get overwhelmed. I was not making more money for it. And all of that time I was using up for that cost me time, in other places, whether it was personal development, my family, all of these things, right? And so I was just working, and not getting anything back for it. And in the end, I actually got something bad back, right? Because the customer, and this is what this other business owner told me, the customer is evaluating me on the work that I was contracted to do, not all of the extra stuff. So when it comes time to evaluate me as a vendor to that customer, they're evaluating that work. All of the other stuff was just extra to them, and they weren't paying for it, so they don't, it's not in the same conversation. So then there's me going, but I've done all this stuff for you. And they're going, well, yeah, but you didn't do this one thing as well as we had hoped. Well, that's because you took all my focus away doing all this other stuff. Doesn't matter to us. We're going to go find somebody else that can do this. And then it's going like, well, wait. And it's me like begging for business, right? Which nobody wants to do. I feel like I should be in a little bit more equal footing with a customer in that regard. And in the end, we ended up keeping those types of customers, but it was always this goofy, toxic relationship where there was more taking than giving, and yet they felt like they weren't getting enough, right? So it's not balanced, right? It's just not balanced. And so we started transitioning into other areas. We started offering different things, again, compounding what we had to know, whether it was website design, SEO, Facebook marketing. And I really enjoyed the Facebook marketing aspect of it. So, as I was trying to figure out my life, look, I was probably headed for divorce. I was not seeing my kids. I was burned out. I found myself in situations I didn't want to be in, business-wise and socially. And so what I ended up doing was I started this worksheet, right? I called it the Define My Day worksheet. It was a way to define what I wanted to do that day. And I would write down the few things I really needed to get done. And as time went on, I added like little mindset exercises and habits and disciplines and all this stuff. And it was all ended up being on a 2-page sheet. And, as time went on, they started building up stacks of these sheets, and they ended up all over the house. And my wife would be finding them everywhere because I had an organization, a way, I'd take blank ones out of one folder, I'd put used ones in another folder, but sometimes they wouldn't all make it in there. I wasn't the most organized person at this point in time, and I'm still not the most organized. But so I got the idea, and actually I got the idea to market this. I was like offering it as a free download on the internet, because I knew it was something. I just didn't know what it was or how to offer it to people. I certainly didn't realize it was going to be a business, right? And so I just kind of put it out there, and I offered it to people to try it out and use it and see what they thought. And a few thousand people downloaded it. It was pretty cool. But so I was actually at Chalene Johnson's Marketing Impact Academy, a couple of years ago now, probably, I think it was the fall of 2017 or maybe the spring of 18. I cannot remember for sure. But so she had the push journal, right? And she gave them out at this conference. I think it was an older version of it. But so, she's, I know she had done this and I'd seen other people's, and I never really found one that I liked, right? It was just, for me, I needed something quick and easy. So, she's saying, you probably have something that other people would be willing to pay for, right? And so, put that out on the market and see what happens. And so I went up to my hotel room one night with her push journal in one hand and a blank journal she handed out in the other. And I went upstairs and I sketched out how I would want somebody to go through Define My Day. And I had it all sketched out, and then I unwrapped the push journal and I looked at them both side by side. And the push journal for me, it wasn't a fit for me, but I know a lot of people love it. So I'm not gonna talk down on that one at all, because I think it's a great product. It just didn't fit me, right? So I opened mine and I went through the pages that I'd written out, and I even timed myself how long it would take me to do it each day. And I thought, well, I can really do this, right? I can really do this. So I ended up going back to Pittsburgh, coming back to Pittsburgh after this conference, all energized and jazzed up. And what I really thought was that I could put this out there, sort of make it a side hustle, and use it as a proof of concept for customers to get them to sign on for us to manage their Facebook ads. So I really never intended this to be a business. Like, it was just intended, maybe I'd make a little bit of money, but what it would really do is prove that we can sell stuff and make money through Facebook advertising. So that's what we did, right? We ordered like 100 of them, and I think the cost at that point was like $15 each. It was crazy. It was about as much as we sell one for now. I mean, we did not make a dime on this book for months. In fact, I don't even think we really made money until the Christmas season. But what we did was find a customer base, right? I actually made this for business owners. It was blue. In fact, the original mock-up is right here, right? That was like $75 to have that printed and bound at FedEx. It was crazy. So that was the original one. I made it for business owners, and in fact, probably males, right? It's blue because I thought, other guys, other business owners would appreciate this, right? It's quick and easy, and it's something that you can, really run with. And God, it didn't work that way. I still love it. In fact, now I'm using a red one right now. But where we really latched on was the female audience. They really started gravitating toward it, and through the summer, things got really good. And so it went so fast that we went from thinking it was a proof of concept to not taking on any more Facebook ad clients because we didn't have any time to do it. We were too busy doing our own stuff. And, I enlisted my wife. Like, we were packing these out of my IT office, in our spare time or after hours. And I enlisted my wife to start doing it. And she's been doing it in our basement now ever since. It's almost 2 years later now. And she's sending out these journals across the country. It's crazy, crazy. And so, I honestly, wow, I mean, I have Chalene Johnson to thank for the motivation, because her Marketing Impact Academy, while I'm not a dancer, the information was incredible. And I think that maybe if I were a little bit more confident in myself, I would have danced. Maybe next time I go, I will dance. But, it was amazing. It was amazing. So, a plug for online learning in general and anything Chalene Johnson's putting out there. I think that you can learn a lot from who's out there right now. And anything you're interested in, there's somebody out there with valuable information. And I'm kind of feeling my way out there now, right? This is kind of my way of kind of feeling out what I have valuable for you. I will certainly talk about other things that I find valuable out there, such as Chalene Johnson's Marketing Impact Academy. I honestly believe that, even in a marketplace as crowded as focus planners or journals or priority planners, whatever you want to call them, there's a lot of good stuff. And there's some for a year, there's some for 6 months, there's some for a month, 30 days, whatever. I have always had the feeling that mine will find its audience, and the other person, such as Chalene, will find her audience. And she has obviously found her audience. She has a big following. But I think that, when you compare any product side by side, you can figure out what fits for you. And so, in going through the whole product cycle for us, you see people, critical of the product and it's hard. It's hard because this has been like a labor of love for me, and I know how much I put into it. And, it's hard to see it criticized, but then you also realize that, that person's not our customer, right? It's our customer is the people that email us and the people that are active in our community and telling us how this is the one that's changed their lives. Somebody that doesn't like the format that we have can find one somewhere else. So going through that whole mental shift and understanding that, has been it's been difficult. It's been difficult, but I think understanding it. I used to like negative comments on Facebook or negative emails we'd get, and I'd be so crushed by it. But the more confident you get, the more positive response you get in whatever you're doing, the more you let that other stuff go, and you realize that that's just not my person, and that extends into our personal lives, right? And being authentic in ourselves, which is going to be a topic I'm going to talk about in the future. Attracting the right people, and in our lives, and that's not so much in a romantic way, although that's true too, but business associates and friends and family, like there's a lot that goes into it, and it all comes back to being your authentic self, and that is about being okay, like confident in yourself and okay with who you are. Um, and then there's also the balance in being okay with who you are and knowing that there's always room for improvement. So all of these topics are the things that we're going to talk about. I find myself in a weird position here in 2020 where we have a growing business that I love, and we have so many struggles that we never anticipated. But because we have this sense of purpose, because we have this community that is so active and gives us so much positive feedback, it makes all of the bad stuff worth it. From vendor issues to credit card chargebacks to you know advertising issues and financial issues and growth issues and family issues and squabbles and who's doing what. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. But it's all worth it when you have a strong sense of purpose, right? Another person I follow all the time, Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand podcast. Listen to it. Smart guy. Probably the one guy in the world I would work for free. Um, his one of his guys that he always refers back to is Viktor Frankl, and the having a sense of purpose helps you survive those really hard times. And with this business, we have such a strong sense of purpose, and it builds every day with every positive message we get. And it's the reason. There's a couple of reasons why I've not come out with anything like this before. Is that my sense of purpose? Like, I needed to continue to build that foundation to be confident enough to even do this for a moment, right? I can't even have this conversation 6 months ago because I was still sort of in this place, where I'm working in the IT business and I'm working in this business, and I'm not quite. I'm not ready to be anybody out there and expose myself, or as Brene Brown would put it, be vulnerable. So, it's like I had the sense of purpose, but I find that the momentum, the more I am out here and the more people give me feedback and the more I find my audience, um, it gets better. It gets better. So I guess, if anybody is watching this or listening to this right now, this whole podcast and video series is going to be about overcoming, excuse me, bullshit, overcoming bullshit, and being really fallible, which I am, not perfect in any way, and understanding that there's always room for improvement while also loving yourself in the process. So, I'm going to talk about business stuff. I'm going to talk about topics related to dealing with other people. I'm going to talk about, in fact, I wrote all these in the shower today, just trying to put it all down, right? We're going to talk about, healthy boundaries. We're going to talk about business ethics. We're going to talk about, getting a phone call. And it's spam risk. Thank you for letting me know that, AT&T. How do you figure out who you trust out in the world, or what subject, like especially in relation to health, right? What diet do you trust? We're going to talk about stuff like that. So it's going to be like the whole human condition. It's going to be about, raising a family, kids, ethics, values, goals, dreams, running a business, the struggles in doing so, all of that stuff. So, I hope you join me. I hope you enjoy the journey. And I will talk to you next time. And I will have a topic based on what I've just talked about. I'm telling you, this is not very planned out. I'm not the expert in doing this right now, but I aim to be. And I will get better. And I hope you join me for that ride. Take care. Bye.